We have started a series talking about the 8 teams that did not make the 22-team format, and we have talked about the Charlotte Hornets, the Chicago Bulls, and the New York Knicks. This week we'll talk about the Detroit Pistons. They traded fan favorite Andre Drummond, and they have officially started a rebuild and are looking towards the future. They have a lot of young pieces, but have more older and expensive players like Blake Griffin. So, what do you think the team should try to do with Blake Griffin and his contract?
Well, I think they should trade him to a playoff contender, and that's a status that they're clearly downgrading for him. And obviously, like you said, they are rebuilding. It is completely clear. They let go of Reggie Jackson, their starting point guard. They let go of They traded Andre Drummond for toilet paper, and are shopping Derrick Rose. So it's obvious that they are going into full rebuild mode. And I think that they should trade him for picks and a young player. I think you could look at places like the Warriors, who just need that one last piece to contend and have the assets that they need. Other teams that are in a similar situation like them, I think they could definitely trade for him to elevate their status as playoff contenders.
I think for Blake Griffin, he's still young. He's 31 years old, and this is probably his last 3 or 4 years before he goes into that uh, he goes into like a bad player or a player that's uh, regressing. So, but you got to look at him last year when he was healthy before he got injured this year. He was an all-star, and he proved that he was a good player after he got traded from the Clippers to the Pistons. But like you said, they have started a rebuild with Drummond being traded and cutting players like Reggie Jackson and Markieff Morris. So I think now is the best time to trade Blake Griffin while he is still a good player and can can have some value now, because if you trade him in 2 years, you might not get anything for him, or you might not even be able to trade him. So a team that comes to mind that has cap space for him because he is making about 40 million per year, I think, is the Charlotte Hornets. They're still a young team, and they need a big man who has veteran presence that's been in the playoffs before. And I think that's Blake Griffin, because he can play that four or that small forward position, and he can take over for the team, and that the Charlotte Hornets can be in the playoffs again. Because this year they have really proven to be a good team, and we didn't expect that, because that was because of Devontae Graham and PJ Washington. But with adding Blake Griffin, I think that they can become a great team and they can make the playoffs.
Well, I'd have to disagree on you there. The Charlotte Hornets are a good team, and it's for the exact reason that you said. They surprised a lot of people, but now that they didn't make the 22 team format, now people will have time to game plan because now they are ready. They've now they have PJ Washington and Devontae Graham on their scouting reports. They know that they're going to be their main focal points, and because of that, I think they will um, put back on their expectations to do bad and rebuild for the next couple of years. But I don't think I think that Blake Griffin shouldn't have his talents wasted on that type of team. I think he should go to a playoff team that actually has a chance of winning a championship, because you don't want to see like in Jordan Bradley Beal. You don't like to see all-star caliber players on terrible teams that don't deserve to make the playoffs or are lottery bound. I think that because of that, he should look to be traded to a playoff contender so that his talents won't be wasted.
I think I don't really agree with you on that part, because he's had about 10 years to do that, and he has been on a playoff team with the Clippers, and they haven't really been able to get over that hump and make the finals. So I think now is just the time to uh, have him as a valuable veteran that can help a team go to the playoffs and possibly win a couple rounds. But for for the era we are in now, a lot of players are being paid a lot of money, and if you look at all the cap situations, if you look at the big team or the top teams like the Lakers or the Warriors or the Bucks that have a huge payroll, they won't really be able to afford Blake Griffin by trading for him, even with trading one of their bigger contracts. So I think for the Pistons, they need to trade him to a team that's a playoff team or an eight seed, but not a team that is rebuilding again.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point, but one of their bigger contracts, like the Warriors, they have Andrew Wiggins, someone they could build around, or even Draymond Green. They have like people like teams like them have assets and contracts they can use to trade for him, and I think those types of teams would be good for him to go to, so that he can finally win at least one ring in his career.
I think for the Pistons, they're looking for some picks and maybe a young player. So I know the Warriors have the Timberwolves picks and they have Draymond Green and Eric Pascal, but I don't think that's enough to get it done because Draymond Green is making a lot of money and they don't want to be in that same situation again as they were with Griffin. So I think for them, they're going to try to trade to a team that has young pieces and is going to possibly go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I can see your point.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, the Pistons have many young pieces who can be elite players. One guy who has stepped up his game is Christian Wood. This is his fifth team, but he has proven to be a reliable and efficient player. So do you think Christian Wood is a reliable piece, and do you think the Pistons can build around him?
Yep, I definitely can. Now, I'm about to lay out all these stats because I think everyone needs to hear this so that I can prove my point. Over the past 15 games, Christian Wood has been averaging 22 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block per game. An incredible stat line for a player who people didn't really know of. And along with this, he's been shooting 41% from 3 on 4 attempts per game over the past 15 games as well. So he's a pretty good three-point shooter, as you can see. And along with that, over the past 15 games, he's also been shooting 57% from the field. So he does have a good shot selection and is pretty efficient. Now, I know people think, oh, it's just empty stats on a bad team, but it's really not. Because even though they've only won 2 games in that 15-game stretch, they only lost 6 games by more than 7 points. And he's only 24 years old and has a ton of defensive potential. And I really think that if the Pistons continue to develop him correctly, he could be their next all-star big man.
Now, I would have to completely disagree with you there. I don't think Christian Wood is a guy that
What?
I think they don't need to. They're not going to really build around it because they're a team that are lower in the standing. So they're going to be a team that's going to get a good high draft pick, and they can get a player like LaMelo Ball or Cole Anthony possibly if they fall if he
Yeah, and
falls in.
those players will work perfectly with Christian Wood being
Yeah,
such a
but
good big man.
no, but you said that you can rely on Christian Wood as their cornerstone and as their building piece.
He
I
could
don't
be
think.
one of them. He's a reliable piece. That was the question. Could they build around him? Is he a reliable piece? I think he's a reliable piece on a team that could make the playoffs, and eventually I think the Pistons could. And a lot of people have said he's definitely someone they can build around.
I don't think they're going to be able to build around Christian Wood because you look at his stats his entire season with Detroit. He had 21 minutes and he had 13 points, which is pretty good. But if you
Yeah,
want,
but he was behind Andre Drummond. But once he got traded, he's been doing fantastic.
well, how many games have they won since he got traded?
They've
Two,
won two. They've won 2
two.
games, but they're a rebuilding team, right?
Yeah, they are a rebuilding team, but for Christian Wood, I think he's if you want him
What
to
about
become
What about Bradley Beal? He's been averaging 30 points a game. It's not like they're a championship team. You know what I'm saying?
Bradley Beal, no, with Bradley Beal though, he is a superstar player, and I think he deserves to be an All Star. With Christian Wood, he's still young, and he's not like an All Star yet. And I don't know if he can get to that level yet because this is his fifth team, and he went undrafted in the 2015 draft.
Yeah, well, people didn't notice him, but now that people have noticed him, he's a rising star. I think that he will be able to be a reliable piece.
No, I don't think so. I think he can become a really good second option or third option.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's a I'm not. He's definitely not someone who can be a superstar. I don't think, but I think he's someone that they could build around as how a Paul George, like a number 2 option to a Kawhi Leonard, someone like that.
Yeah, like you said that he was like a guy that you could possibly build around, and I don't agree with that part.
Okay.
I think for the Pistons, they can be a good team in the next 4 or 5 years with 2 young players in the draft that they get, and then they have Christian Wood as their co-star or third option.
Yeah. I definitely think that he could be a co-star, and he's he's a reliable piece, someone that they could build around along with another player. I don't think he will be the face of the franchise, but he's someone they can build around along with his second co-star, the number 1 option.